Okay, in this video we'll talk about different endpoints related to search. Okay, so we'll see how to create a search and how to access its results and how to manipulate its different states using REST API today. Also we'll see how to access its logs as well. Okay, so before we start, I just wanted to show you this particular diagram I created. So this diagram is basically depicting different endpoints related to search we can think about. Okay, we'll try to discuss in detail on all of these endpoints today. Now today we are going to show you different ways we can access these endpoints. Okay, now we can either access using CURL command. Okay, CURL tool basically. If you follow my channel videos on HTTP event collectors, I have used CURL tool there before. Also we can use this postman tool to post something to the Splunk endpoints and get some results over there. Also we can use our Python script to do the same stuff over there. If you see all these tools, they are actually doing the same stuff. Only thing is that we are doing it, the implementation is different way. Okay, now the first endpoint we'll be talking about today is search/jobs. Okay, so now if you remember from my previous video, if I just open this REST API intro video, okay, the two things I have talked about when we talked about an endpoint URL, right? There are two ways we can construct that URL, either by using services NS or by using services, right? So when we talk about services NS, we are basically doing the context of user and application over there. For services related endpoints, we don't need to mention this context, user context and application context over there. That means when you have some objects in Splunk which is applicable for a particular user and particular app, ideally you should be hitting this services NS/user/app, then the endpoint name. Okay, otherwise you can work with the services endpoint at all. So if I just construct the endpoint, so it will be something like https:// so one way it will be host : port. Host is my local host because I will be working in my Splunk local, and port will be our management port 8089, then slash, then services NS, right? services NS, then the app context and the user context. So user context, let's say if I am logging as a mean for admin user, so I'll be giving a user called admin. Then if let's say I'll be running my search in search app, so that's why I'll be giving the app context at search. Okay, you can give any user and app name over here. Okay, then the endpoint name. So as first we'll be talking about the endpoint search/jobs. So it will be again search/jobs. So this will be the whole endpoint URL. Now if I talk about services endpoint, okay, so in that case we do not need to give this to context over there, right? And we do not need to give the NS over here. So this will be the endpoint for services over there. Okay, so we can use any of these endpoints today. So first we'll be working with mainly the services NS and admin and search app. Okay, because I'll be running mostly on the search app. So if I just log into my Splunk account over there, okay, I'll show you, because we will be comparing what we are doing it from the UI and what we are basically doing it from the REST API. Okay, now when we talk about search/jobs endpoint, it basically supports two operations, get and post. If you remember from my previous video, when I have discussed about the REST API intro, we talked about like not all the REST endpoints supports all the methods. Some REST endpoints supports only post, some endpoint supports post and get both, some endpoint supports get. Okay, now this particular endpoint supports both post and get. So what this particular endpoints do, these endpoints allow you to create a search. Okay, Now to create a search, you need to basically post it to Splunk, right? And the main data you can provide it to Splunk is the ID of the search, the exec mode. Now you don't need to remember these things, okay? So if I'll be giving this URL as well. There is a very good documentation for Splunk REST endpoint details, okay? I think you should check that one out before you work on any of these endpoints. So for post, if I just expand this one, okay, so now I have just mentioned the most important data we can post it over there. I'll show you how to pass the data as well. Now exec mode, if you see it over here, it will be somewhere over here. So it is just like blocking, one shot, or normal, like 3 different options you can support, okay? Now by default it's always work with the normal mode, okay? That means if you set to normal, it runs an asynchronous search. Now if you set to blocking, it return the seed when the job completes, okay? So it means search ID, okay, not me. Now if you run with one shot, okay, then what happens, like it also returns the results as well in the same call, okay? Otherwise it always return the search ID only, okay? We'll see that one as well, okay? But this is one of the important mode, exec mode, okay? Now ad hoc search level, if I just go up, this is alphabetically ordered, okay? Now if you see, when we run the Splunk search, right, over here we select smart mode, fast mode, and verbose mode, right? So this is what ad hoc search level means, okay? Smart, verbose, and fast. This is what you can pass it, okay? Now if I just continue it, earliest time, as you can see it, this is very easy. You can pass the earliest time and latest time of the search. Max count, now by default, if I just see the documentation over here, so it will be over here, okay? So by default the search returns 10,000 results. Now if you want more results, okay, you need to give that value as a max count parameter, okay? Max count data parameter. Now search, this is the only required argument for this particular post operation. You need to give a search string over here, okay? That is the search. And the search mode, now if I just go over here, the search mode is normal or real time. That means like either you want to run a normal search or real time search. That is what it is talking about, okay? Now if I just give you an example, okay, first we will see an example of with a curl command. So it is just like curl -k u and then your total admin user ID and password, then the endpoint name, and this is how you pass the parameter. Now when you pass the search, you have to basically URL encode it, so that if you have some special characters, some characters over here, it will be URL encoded as well when it passed to Splunk, okay? And the ID means you can give any ID of your own to the search, so that you can refer it at the later point to access other endpoints, because if you get that ID, you can pass this ID to other endpoints to get the details of the search, okay? And I have given max count as 50,000 and status bucket. Status bucket means, now in Splunk, status bucket means basically how many number of time buckets Splunk maintains for the field summary, okay? This is one of the important parameter you can give it, okay? Now if I just run this one, this particular search over here, okay, this particular command, now if you see, it just returned me the search ID, because by default it runs on a normal mode, okay? If you remember, we have talked about 3 modes, right? Blocking, normal, and one shot. In normal mode, it just give you the search ID, it does not give you any result over there, okay? Now initially this request we'll see in all the different way of implementation, okay? We see it in command prompt through CURL tool. Now if I just go over here in the Postman, okay, so I already created this endpoint. So what you need to do is basically you need to select post from here. You need to give the same endpoint name, whatever I have given it over here, okay? This is our endpoint name, correct? And then in the params you don't need to give anything. In the authorization you have to select the basic authorization from here, okay, because I am using currently the basic authorization, that means only the user ID and password, okay. And in the message body you have to give all these data details: ID, max count, status bucket, search, and the exec mode. Now if you see exec mode normal I have given, right? So if I just run it using the send, okay, it should behave like the same. It should give me a return SID, okay, the search ID. Now I just wanted to mention one thing over here. If you are accessing localhost from Postman, right, this is one thing you have to check. File, you need to go to settings, in general tab, okay. Now this is the one, there is a option called SSL certificate verification. You need to turn it off, otherwise it will not work, okay. Now this is the Postman way to do it, right? Now if I just, instead of normal, if I just go back to documentation and exec mode, right? So if I just go to exec mode over here, if I just provide one shot over here, let's see how it is changing, okay. So one shot, in that when you mention exec mode as one shot, you can mention output mode as JSON as well, okay, so that you can, whichever format you want, that format it will be returning the result, okay. Now if you see the in one shot mode, it is giving you all the details, giving you all these different fields, because I am running a search called index, okay. If I just go back over here, my search is index equals to underscore internal, and then source type is equals to Splunk D. This is a very basic search, right? So that's why it is returning all these different fields and their corresponding values in the one shot mode over here, okay. Now so I thought you understood like what this one shot means. It's according to your need, you need to pass this parameter accordingly, okay. Now if I just move on and run the same thing in Python, so in Python what we are doing, we are basically doing a post using Python request module, right? So we are posting into the same URL, right? We are creating the same data using a dictionary with all these different values, right? And also to turn off the SSL certificate verification, we are mentioning verify equals to false, right? And we are also mentioning the authentication over there, okay? And just printing the response. So if I just run it over here, okay, so it should give you the search ID over here, just like that, okay, because it is running in the normal mode now, okay. Now same way, so for rest of the request we will not waste our time and run this one, so it will be in similar way. You can pass this thing and you can run it, you can try it on your own, okay. Now we got a fair idea about search jobs endpoint. Now let us go back to our diagram over here, okay. Now after search jobs, if you run this particular endpoint with normal mode, you will only get the search ID, right? Now this search jobs also provides a method called get, not the endpoint, the method called get. So by using that one, you can basically get a lot of details about the search, okay. So now how to do it? So if I just go back over here, okay, now if you see after search jobs, if you just give the search ID, okay, just now we created this particular search ID, right? So it will give you the details about the search. So if I just do a curl request, so I'll just clear the screen, okay. So if I just run about this one, it gives you a lot of details about the search, okay. That means how much time it takes, okay, what is the done progress or not. Now if I just again go back over here, okay, and talk about the most important get details. So this is the response, this is the return values, okay. This is not the values you are passing to the search. When you get, you are just passing the search name to the endpoint, that's all, okay. Now this is the return values, that means you are basically getting the details about the search. Now if I just talk about most important stuff like disk usage, like how much disk usage happens, dispatch state. So if I just see it over here, dispatch state means what state the particular search is, whether it is in done mode, failed, running, paused, finalizing, that state you can get it from there, the dispatch state. So if I just see it over here, somewhere it will be here. So our search is in done mode now. That means the search has been completed, right? Now if I just go over here, now done progress, this is an important one. Okay, I'll try to show you this one. Now done progress means a number between 0 and 1 that indicates the how much progress the search happened. Okay, now to check it out, if you see for my current search it is showing 1 because long back we run this particular search, the create search one, right? So if I just run the create search again, so this is basically the search jobs I am posting, right? The first endpoint we run is basically creating a search, right? So if I just run it, and then if I just run the second endpoint, now if you see the done progress, you will get a fair idea. It is showing 0.0705 and search dispatch state is running. That means the search is still running, right? It's still not completed. Now ideally it should be completing now. Let's see. So if I just run this endpoint again and see my dispatch state, now it is running, but dispatch state done progress, if you see it is progressed, right? Previously it was very less number, now it is almost 99% of the search completed. Now let us run it again to see it. Okay, so now if you see done, and the dispatch and the done progress became 1. Okay, so this endpoint you can use to track the search states, different states. Okay, and if I just go on, the earliest time, the latest time, the event count, event field count. The event count means how many event it has returned. Event field count means how many fields are there in the event that it is returned. And there are a lot of options, a lot of fields it gives with is then the dispatch state. If I just show you over here for this particular endpoint, like is done, is failed, is finalized. Okay, you can use this keys to determine whether the search has been failed or not, whether it is paused or not. Those kind of stuff you can do it. Okay, this kind of logic you can implement it using this particular endpoint. Message, what is the search message and what is the search ID. Okay, so this is the overall idea about search jobs. Now after I run the search jobs, let's say I got the search ID, right? If I run it in a normal mode, then I have two endpoints called search ID events and the search ID results. Okay, now these two endpoints give me the results, the search results. Okay, now why you need two endpoints, events and results? Events are used for non-transforming searches. That means the searches which do not have any transforming command. For those searches you can use this particular endpoint to get the details, and if you have transforming command in your search, then you can use this endpoint to get the details. Okay, so now as I am running a very simple search, right? Index equals to underscore internal and the source type is Splunk D, so there is no transforming command over here, right? So I'll just run the event endpoint over there. Okay, so to do that, what we can do is, so this is my endpoint. So this is how we call it basically, with curl, with the credentials, then the get dash get and the data. Now event endpoints, if I just go over here, it only supports the get. If you see, both of these endpoints supports only the get, it do not support post, right? Because even it is not allow you to create any search, it just allow you to get the search results, right? Now count means you can pass this parameters over there. The count means what is the search result count. That means if I just pass it 1, it will only give you the single result. Okay, you can pass any earliest time. If means which fields you want. Okay, latest time you can pass, and the output mode like JSON, XML, that was we can do. Now if you see my request over here, okay, now I am just searching for the field host. Okay, and I am taking only the 2 counts from the same search I just created before over here, right? So if I just go over here, run this endpoint, shift insert, Okay, now if you see it, it returned 2 results over there, right? This is the result set. Now if you see in the field, there is a field only for host. I'll show you without host as well. Okay, and it is value also, it is showing up over there if you see it. Okay, now let us run this count, the same count without the field host, just to see what are the fields it is returning. Okay, now if you see, now it is returning for all the fields, and the available field, you can see it in this field order list. Okay, this is the fields it is returning, and whenever I am passing f minus df, that means we are mentioning one of these fields over here in this list. Okay, and all its values. Similarly, for results also, it works in the same way. Okay, even results work for non-transforming as well, but if you want to run only for transforming, you have to use the results, otherwise event will not work, that one. Okay, so the same result I can run over here as well. Okay, so it is, if you see here, over here I have given the output mode as JSON, right? That's why instead of providing an XML, it provides me a JSON file over here, JSON output over there. Okay, then you can use the JSON according to your need. Okay, so we talked about 2 important endpoints, results and events. Okay, now summary. So there is another endpoint called search ID summary. Now these endpoints, if I just wanted to show you in Splunk, okay, so if I just run this guy, index equals to underscore internal source type Splunk D, let's say any search. Okay, now if you see, this search returns a lot of interesting fields over here, right? And if you click on any fields, let's say even message, okay, it generates a lot of statistics about that. This is called the field summary over here, right? What are the top values, or there's the count, percentage, everything, right? So that details you will get it from this summary endpoint. Okay, so here also some data you can pass it to this endpoint, like earliest time, latest time, the fields you want, whether you want to have histogram or not, minimum frequency you want, the search string, and the top count. Okay, now top count means top 10 or something like this. Over here if you see it, I think it's always gives you the top 5 or 10 values, right? 10 values over here, right? So that also you can govern, like whether you want to have top 5 count or 10 count, that also you can pass it over here. Okay, so now if I just run this guy over here, so we are calling this endpoint in similar way with all these details, then dash dash get, then all the data we are passing, okay, for filtration purpose. So over here I just want the source field and the source type field, 2 fields I want. That's why if you see minus df equals to source, then again minus df equals to source, and again minus df equals to host, 3 fields I want, and I want the top 5 count over there. Okay, so if I just run this search, let's see our search is still alive or not, because in Splunk if you see, the searches always get deprecated, right? So if you see, yeah, the search is still alive. Okay, and if you see, it's giving you all the details over here. Here C is the count, everything. Now what C, NC, DC means I think distinct count. You can get that information from here. So it is always good to have that this guy as a handy, because it will give you a lot of endpoints details. Okay, so if I just go down over here, so we are talking about summary, right? And if I just expand it over here, and in the output I'll just see where this details is. Okay, somewhere I think it was mentioned over there. I'll try to find it out, and I'll just mention in my video as well. In the video description you should be finding this information over there. Okay, but ideally C is the count. I think this DC is the distinct count. Okay, now let's move on. Let's talk about the next endpoint called timeline. Okay, now if I just try to compare it over here with our search, okay, this information, if you see it over here, that's the endpoint showing up the information about this particular details over there, the timeline. Okay, now if I just see it, it's again only supports the get, you can mention the time format over there. Okay, so if I just run it, it is a simple search, the search ID and the / timeline, right? A similar way. So if I just, okay, I think I have not copied it. Copy. Okay, now if I just run it over there, it's giving you the timeline level information over here. Okay, so all the details, all for different buckets, what is the different timelines, that information it is giving you. And if you see, like when Splunk displays in the Splunk web, under the hood, it basically calls these APIs as only, okay, to get this information and display it using some other languages, okay, in JavaScript or something. Okay, so that is what behind the scenes is going on. Now there is another important endpoint called export. Okay, now this, as like search jobs exports also supports the post and get, and it's behave very similar and almost similar way as search and jobs. Only the difference is the export endpoints works in a streaming manner. That means whenever the search results come up, it will stream accordingly. Okay, now just to check it out how the export work, we'll just run the same search, and also the export does not give you any search ID. You have to remember that one. Okay, now if I just run this guy, okay, if I just clear the screen over here, shift insert, if you see, it does not generate the XML fully. It does not run the search and then generate the XML fully. It is waiting for the search to complete. Sometimes whenever the results are coming up, it will stream. It will try to stream. You may need to wait for few minutes to see its effect. Okay, and it does not give you any search IDs over here. Okay, so let's wait for some time. Now if you see, it is getting the search results and it is giving you the result, okay, accordingly. Okay, so this is how exports work. I'll just stop it. Okay, now let's talk about the next endpoint called control endpoint. Over here you can basically pause a search, okay, unpause a search, finalize a search. Those search options you can do. Suppose if you have a long running search, you can kill that search as well using this particular endpoint. Okay, now to demo that one, what we'll do is I'll go back over here. Okay, and first I'll create this search, our own search. Okay, I'll just clear the screen. Okay, so our search has been created. Now quickly I will just pause this search. So there is a action called pause. Okay, now see, the search job paused. So now we will talk. So the action equals to pause means basically which action you want to perform on the search. So if I just go back to the Splunk documentation, okay, and see the control one, okay, and see its details, the action is the only one required parameter of it. Okay, pause, unpause, finalize, this values it can take. Okay, now what I'll do is you can if you remember, now you can get the information about this search, right? So it should show you what is the current status of this search. If you remember, this particular endpoint, get endpoint, giving me the search level details, right? So if I run this one now, it should show me the search is paused now. Okay, if you see, okay, it is showing me dispatch state is running. Okay, and it is completed this one. That means ideally there is an option called is paused. Okay, so this one should be 1. If you see it over here, this one should be 1. Okay, that means the search is running basically. That's why the dispatch state is running, and it is 20% completed. Then we paused it, right? That's why the search is paused is equals to 1. Okay, now we will unpause it. Okay, so this action is unpause over there. Okay, so if I just unpause it, not able to copy it properly. copy, unpause it. Now the search job is continued. Okay, now if I just see the search status again using hitting the same endpoint, okay, now if you see that it started running, right? It is almost 50% completed and is pause is 0 now. Okay, now if I just run that endpoint again, if I just show you previously, right? So it will be automatically completed the search. Okay, so this is how the control endpoint you can use it. Now if I just move on, so search job, search ID, this is what I have basically show you over here. This is the endpoint to get the details about the search. Okay, and okay, just wanted to mention one thing. I think I just told you one thing wrong. The search jobs get is basically give you the details about the jobs. Okay, so previously whatever search level details I was running, it was this particular endpoint. Okay, sorry about that one. We'll see the search jobs details. Let's run it. Maybe we can just try to run till this endpoint. Okay, so this will be automatically a GET request. If I just run it, CLS. Okay, so this will give you the job level details of the search. Okay, similar kind of stuff over here. It gives you more information about the job. Okay, so even over here we see disk usage, dispatch state, so similar kind of information only it gives over there as well. Okay, so almost these two endpoints give you more similar kind of information. So any one of it you can use it. So the most important parameters, whatever we are generally looking for from these two endpoints, are almost same. Okay, now this is the search log basically. So if I just show you over here, whenever a search job runs, right, from the jobs, inspect job, you can see the search log over here, right? All the different states, whatever the things it has done. The same information you can get from the search log endpoint as well. Okay, so if I just run this particular endpoint, if you see my search ID, then the search.log. Okay, so if I just CLS over here, so it will give you the same information whatever you are able to see in the search log. Okay, so similar kind of information. So I just pause it. It's almost done. Yeah, so similar kind of information it is giving you over there. So if you see almost whatever search related stuff you can do from the Splunk UI, everything you can do it from the REST endpoints, and internally Splunk is also using those REST endpoints to display this stuff as well. Okay, so REST endpoints is basically giving us the ability to interact with Splunk programmatically. Okay, hopefully this video is helpful. See you in next video.